Databases have many applications and are particularly practical for teachers. In this activity, we're going to be looking at using a database of schools and using the information in that database to write customized letters to potential employers and also to be able to generate mailing labels to send to those employers. You may be interested in some of the famous high schools in the area. For example, this is a picture of Los Angeles High School, one of the older high schools in the area. Of course, this is the most famous and best of all, my alma mater, John Muir High School, Pasadena. And yes, I am in that picture. I think I'm right there. Or you can see even closer to home, the Northridge Academy. This is right here on campus, a new institution, and that's just right at our back door, actually, sharing our fields and so forth. And this is the one of the magnet schools downtown. It's a performing arts magnet, as you might guess from the architecture there, and named after Ramon Cortines, former superintendent for public instruction in LA Unified. So let's say you're interested in applying for one of those. You can open up the database. If you follow through on the website, you'll open up one called SchoolsXLS. There's a couple of them. It doesn't really matter which one you use. But again, at the top, you have this row, and that row is very important because that defines this as a database as opposed to a spreadsheet. You'll notice that the filters are set on, and again, the way you can turn those on and off is by going to Data and Filter. Again, some of these commands might be slightly different locations based upon the software you're using or the version you're using. I'm using Microsoft Excel here, and the version of Excel that I'm using is 2001, version 14.0.2. So in this case, we want those category headers to be a fixed row, and so I'm going to go up there and say the filter is on. And if I chose this cell right here and went over to freeze the panes, again you can see that I could move the data here and the schools stay intact that way, and similarly if I scrolled up and down I'd get the same effect here. So scrolling up like this and the title bar stays put. So again, the concept is to freeze rows and columns, and that's always going to be the row immediately above the cell that's selected when you freeze, or the column immediately to the left of the cell which is selected when you froze. So you can see in this case here we can easily navigate through this database. Now on the left side here we have the individual schools. Here, of course, the other information pertaining to those. Let's say we wanted to generate a form letter and mailing labels and so forth to send out to those schools. How would we proceed? The first thing to do is open Microsoft Word document, just a regular word processing document right here. And within that, you're going to see that there's a lot of different options to choose from. The key one you're going to look at is Mail Merge Manager. So if we open up Mail Merge Manager, it's going to give us this little palette menu here. And if you just follow the steps from 1 through 6, you're going to understand the concept of how you're merging documents. You're going to merge the database, which is right back here, and you're going to merge that with the word processor, which is right in front. So you're going to take the data from that and make successive letters based upon the information that you see in the database. So we're going to create here new form letters. And the first thing we're asked to do is to get the list, and there's where we actually get in the data from. So if you choose under Get List and say Open a Data Source, you can select the data that you're looking for, which is going to be, in this case here, is going to be on the desktop where I saved it to, and the one we're looking for is going to be the schools.database. So you can see there's two school databases here. One is Los Angeles Ventura Schools, one is local schools. I just simply generated those from some data from the Department of Education, put it into an Excel file. So in this case, I'm just going to use the one called local schools. So I'm going to select that, open here, and you can see now that the data here is coming from local schools. So whatever file you select, it'll pick that up. And you may notice here in terms of the category headers, like school, street, city, zip, and district, those are coming from what we're seeing right here, school, street, city, zip. So it's picking up that first row and saying, okay, those are going to be the category headers. Those are the fields that we want to use. So now it's a matter of actually placing the information where we want it. So let's say this is going to be a letter to the principal. So first I'm going to date it. Okay, so I'll insert here the date and time and just choose an appropriate format here. And I'll address this to the principal of, and now I'm going to drag across school. Okay, so take that there and put it right there. So it's going to be the principal of a particular school. Those double brackets there indicate that it's going to merge the information from the spreadsheet into that cell as each record is detected. I'll then put the street on which it's located and the city, state, and the zip. So again, we can see that school, street, city, and zip are going to be merged, whereas principal and California are going to be absolute text that will appear in every single one, as will the date itself. So let's say we wanted to personalize this letter. I'll say, Dear Principal. Now again, if you have a database with the principal's name, it would be substantially better than what I'm going to use right here. I'm very interested in the position you advertised. At school. Okay, so again, wherever you see those brackets, it's going to substitute those words. Understand that school is the best school in district. Now again, I'm not advocating being disingenuous here, but just hopefully a little bit humorous in terms of how to write something like this. And again, you can continue with all sorts of the regular form letters and so forth. When you get to the end, just obviously finish it off. Now, at this point, you can filter the recipients. In other words, if you were to look at the Mail Merge Manager over here, you could choose the filter here, and you could say, okay, I'm only interested in the ones which are in a particular zip zone or a particular district or a city or whatever. So let's say you're interested in only the ones right here where the city is equal to Los Angeles. So it's going to take from this large database and it's going to look only for those which are in this particular field. So now we're filtering for only those in Los Angeles. And we can preview to see if it's working by clicking on number 5. So if you were to click through this, you can get kind of some idea if it's working or not. Or you can go down to Merge Document and see what it looks like before you actually print it. And this again would be a good thing to do. So I'm going to click on Merge right there. And we can see that the first one is Belvedere Middle School in Los Angeles, California. So it's selecting something which is in Los Angeles. As I scroll through this, you'll notice that the next letter is principal at Berendo Middle School. So it's going through things alphabetically. And the next letter, which is going to be generated, is going to be for Burbank Middle School. And you see that everything here is highlighted just the way that we put it in there. So it's merging this. So when this is actually printed out, you will see it in this form right here. We can look at the view and view this actually here in terms of print layout. And you'll see indeed that these all constitute separate pages. So there's the next one, and here's the next page coming through, and so forth. So when you've clicked on this one to complete the merge, then you can save the file. Now, in terms of your website that you're making for 514, you would want to save your file, and you can attach your file to the particular page which is required for this particular assignment. So you'd say File, Save As, and then save schools in the appropriate location. In other words, that say you're going to call it here School Merge, and then save it there and upload it from there to your website. So that's all there is to doing this. Obviously, for this assignment, you do not want to print out, I repeat, you do not want to print out all 500 merged records or whatever. Instead, what suffices in this case here is simply view it in draft mode, and then you can even shrink it down. So I'm going to view it here like on maybe like 75 power, and although it may appear too small to see on this screen, on your own screen it should be fine at 75 or 100%. And then capture like 3 or 4 records, do a screen capture of that, and put it in to your assignment. Now, to make mailing labels, you'd repeat the process, only you're going to simply select, instead of a new form letter, you're going to select a new label. And the most common one is the 5160, which is made by Avery, but obviously there's many different ones depending upon the labels that you have at home, but the 5160 is perhaps the most common one that's out there. So you'll notice when you select that, it automatically formats your page to show that you're going to be 3 labels wide. So just as before you proceed down this, as you've already selected the document type, and now you're going to select a list, so it'll open a data source. Obviously you'd want to select exactly the same data source you did before, which in our case was local schools. So the local schools database is inserted there, and you'll notice there that you're going to get this edit fields document coming here. This is where you're going to actually make the label. So let's say I wanted to address this to the principal, and normal formatting and so forth applies. I'm just going to make that bolder so it stands out. Probably also could make that larger, whatever. Now we would just insert the other fields as necessary, just as before. So in this case we're going to insert the school, and then the street, and of course the city, comma, CA, since they're all California, and the zip. And if you want to, you can even insert the postal code. I wouldn't suggest doing that because it looks a little bit too cheesy to do that. But if you're mailing other things, for other purposes, it does help to ensure that it actually gets to the right location if you select the zip code. So click on OK. As before, you could filter the recipients. I'm not going to choose to do that right here. I'm going to go right down to complete the merge. And notice I'm not merging to the printer. I don't want to print out hundreds of pages of this stuff. I want to make a document, so I'll say merge to a new document. I'll click on this one, which is right here. Click on that, and that'll actually merge all of these into a single document. And you can see that these are all going to be printed out as labels that you can just peel off and put on the paper. Again, I don't suggest using the barcodes for actually applying for a job, but if you're having to mail things out to a large set, like for campus and so forth, those barcodes do actually make it a little bit easier to ensure it gets to the correct place. So again, as before, you could just do a screen capture of what you see here, like maybe 12 records or something. Place that in the on your website, and that illustrates that you get the concept of how to create mailing labels. Now, you could also go further with this and look at envelopes and catalogs and so forth. I think you can pretty much figure that out on your own, but right now do the mailing labels and then do the merged letters as well.